back to our webcast. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, today we're doing a catch-up of some sort. Tunachapa story, yeah, and letting each other know what we've been learning, what we've been up to, yeah, and also letting you guys know. So I hope you enjoy this.
So Steph, today morning I saw you post something on chakras. And even in another video we did, I saw you, like, you mentioned something about, like, okay, it was a joke. You were talking about your ear, and then you were like, you had an ear infection, and you were like, maybe it was the
throat
chakra clearing up.
Yeah.
So like, what is chakras? What are chakras?
What are chakras?
Ala, kwani hamkukua kwa darasa?
Chakras are like energy points in your body that, yeah, I think that's the best way I can explain it. They're just energy points in your body, and different chakras represent different things. So there are 7 chakras. Crown, the crown chakra, the third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus. Solar plexus is your gut. Sacral chakra, which is like sensual, sexual, and then the root chakra. Yeah.
The root?
Yeah, root.
So red beef, honestly. It's red beef.
Yeah.
Are they like the colors of...
Yeah, and the colors are also the colors of the chakras are the colors of the rainbow.
Oh.
Yeah. And speaking of rainbows, it's June, it's Pride Month.
Oh yeah, by the way.
Happy Pride Month, everybody.
Everybody. Oh my god, happy Pride Month. The other day tulikuwa tunashoot na akina Bobby. Okay, should I have exposed them? Okay, no. So the other day we were these guys, and then they were like, we were talking about like doing a video or like just talking about Pride Month. And they were like hesitant and not sure they were ready to have that conversation.
Yeah. And
like it really had me thinking on like the place of like those uncomfortable conversations in society. Like how do we get people to have them, even the people who like are uncomfortable with them? Like how do you get boys to talk about like LGBTQ issues, TQI, and whatever I might have missed?
For me, I feel like if you can't talk about it, I don't know. For me, I'm usually like, if you can't talk about it like openly, it's a bit of a deal for me. Like I'm usually like, why can't you just talk about it? It's literally 2021. There's nothing, and the thing is, I feel like people don't usually like to stand their ground or talk from themselves. It's like a group mentality kind of thing. It's like nikionekana naongea juu ya LGBTQ, especially for men, nitaonekana aje, you get. So I usually feel like it's a group mentality for them, and they don't usually stand their ground about what they believe in and what they're okay with. And even if it's something, yes, okay, that we understand there are some people who are brought up in some type of way, like they were brought up in families where like these things were prohibited. Okay, not prohibited, like even to talk about them was a taboo. But then like we're in 2021, we are grown-ups. You are what's it called? You are living your own life now. You're not following what your parents are saying and everything.
Oh my god, yeah. On another live,
like,
I was telling guys the same thing. I'm like, they're like, you know, that's how we were brought up. And then I was like, okay, fine, you've been brought up, but now, like, okay, then you've been brought up. Now you're up already. So then, are you just like, what are you doing for yourself now?
I was having the conversation yesterday with a bunch of guys, 3 guys, and they kept mentioning that their fear for I don't know whether to call it a fear or like skepticism or hatred, their homophobia, that's the word for it, right? So their homophobia is rooted in high school, and how in high school they'd have the older boys like molest the form 1s and all that, so that made them really resent, you know, the entire group. And I was telling them that there's a need to separate issues.
Yeah.
This is rape culture. Yeah. This isn't about the LGBTQ community. Like, we all agree that we need to create a culture of consent, regardless of whether you're straight or not. We need to create a culture of consent. So there's a need to differentiate the issues, so that your problem with this person is not the fact that they are gay, but the fact that they don't ask for consent.
They raped you.
Yeah. Or someone that you knew, you know. So
but like men are very, I don't know, something about men, to be honest, something about men just pisses me off, because most men don't stand up for what they believe in. They don't talk about things they believe in, even if like let's say for example person X really believes that rape is not something that's supposed to happen, and it's not supposed to be there, but him talking about it will make him wanting to talk about it will make him feel like, if I talk about it, sasa, how will my other fellow men look at me? Like, that's the thing with men that I don't like. They usually have this mentality that wanataka kuonwa in some kind of way.
The respect of their boys is such a huge thing for them.
Toxic masculinity.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like, so have you been toxic in your life? Like, do you feel like you've been toxic?
I wanted to tweet this today morning. And
but
like,
toxic in what way?
I don't know, just like
toxic.
Just
generally.
Yeah. I wanted to
feel like
I wanted to tweet this today in the morning, and I was
it's
like,
not a good thing.
It's not.
It's
like,
not a
I was
good
like,
thing.
no one prepares you to deal with the fact that you're
You've
the
been
toxic
toxic.
one.
Yeah.
You know?
Allah, Allah, Allah.
And I actually wanted to tweet that in the morning. Then I was like, naji expose sana, wacha tena relax. Ona sasa ndo huyu wewe.
I saw like a question box today, and it was Brandy Minor, and she was asking what's the hardest thing you've ever had to do. Na nilitype nikatype. All because I was trying to avoid saying that at one point I had to call myself out on being the person on the wrong or being the toxic person. And I was wondering, yani hata kujitypea mimi mwenyewe
Ni shida.
it's hard for me to admit it. So like it's interesting how like on one end guys are Taji just woke up. Guys are quite like, guys are on the receiving end on like being exposed for being toxic. In as much as they don't even like talk about toxic things they experience, like say if they're harassed, if they're raped. And then like girls, I guess because we experience a lot of things done to us, I don't know whether that's the disconnect is the same or it's a separate issue on its own, but like associating myself as a lady with being toxic, it's like I don't like to, it's like I don't know whether it's because I'm a girl or it's just as an individual, but it's like accepting that you're toxic can get like hard sometimes.
No one likes to be called out for being toxic. Whether you're being called out by someone else or you're calling yourself out, it's not a comfortable feeling. But for you to grow, like growth is not a comfortable process, you know. And I was even saying this, that it takes two to tango. Even after you leave a relationship or a situationship or whatever ship it was. That ship, when you leave it, I feel like your examination of conscience should be less about the other person and more about you. Like in what ways did this person challenge you? In what ways did this person make you realize that, oh, you need to grow here, you need to grow there? And I was reading the newspaper, the Sunday Nation, and there's something that I saw that really struck my mind. It's an anecdote. So there's a village or a town, and the town had a gatekeeper. So one person came to the town, akauliza, how are the people in this town? The gatekeeper akamuuliza, how are the people in the town that you've come from? Then this person was like, oh, you know, they're mean, they're rude, that's G, you know, like just throwing shade. Oh, the gatekeeper kamwambia, those people, you'll find them here.
Yeah.
So that person went on his way. Then the second person came and asked, how are the people in this town? Then the gatekeeper kamuuliza, how are the people in the town where you've come from? Akasema, oh, they're very kind and warm and endearing. Akamwambia, those people, you'll also find them here. So for me, reading that anecdote was like, even when like you're going to get into other relationships, it's so easy to, when you start talking about your exes, you know, you're talking about, you're slandering them, you're like, oh yeah, it's so easy to be like, oh, you know,
they hurt me,
he was trash,
fanya
nini na woli do, as in like why you
kufanya kitu yote.
Okay, saa zingine hukufanya kitu yoyote.
No, but then we're talking about
the person that did the things that like were, you know, like maybe someone who's been in a relationship where there was violence.
Yeah.
Like maybe you're not the person who was beating the other person.
Yeah.
But like what part did you play?
What part did you play? Because it always takes two to tango, and this is not to condone abusive relationships, because I understand in some situations it can be super abusive, but it's just to say, examine your conscience to, as the same way you're calling it's easy to pick out on the other person and be like, they did this wrong and they did this wrong and they did this wrong. Do yourself the favor and also ask yourself, what did I do wrong? Because 9 times out of 10 there's some shit you also did.
And also, have you ever realized how like to learn about yourself and how like you're toxic in some kind of way, you need like people around you who actually like tell you the truth about yourself. Because you find that some friendships or relationships where like they won't tell you like what's wrong with you, they'll always be like on your side, which is not a good thing. It's better to have friends who tell you the truth about yourself compassionately.
Yes.
That's the thing. Oh my god. So when eventually in the question box thing, what I typed was, the hardest thing I've had to do is stand up for myself, like to people who don't have the same beliefs as me, but with compassion. And I was like, and it's very like, I also find myself asking that question, like, well, not asking that question, but when people bring up topics of like my friend telling me I did wrong, I'm usually like, now how, for me in my mind, I'm thinking, who am I telling? Like, how do I know what they're doing is wrong? But also, how do you not correct someone? Like, you can't also always just be enabling or like, but you also can't, like, for me now, I have a hard time being like, no, you're being wrong, you're doing something wrong, because I'm like, how do I know? And this leads me to a question that someone asked me. They asked me, are you wild, open-minded, or a free spirit? So what would you say you are?
I think I'd say I'm open-minded.
I'd say I'm a free spirit.
So this person then went on to tell me, I said I'm open-minded as well. And then, so he was like, if you're so I don't know, like he just said a lot of things, but he was trying to tell the differences between a free spirit, an open mind, and a wild person. And like we had a long debate, and I was telling him, you can be, because he was saying a free spirit sometimes may not stand for anything, they'd like move with and an open mind is someone who like would take in all this information and then evaluate it and then make a decision on like what they believe in. And then a wild person is a wild person. So I was like, I've never,
a wild person is like
not Tim.
Like, can you be more than one?
And that's what I was telling him. So I'm like, but
maybe like I'm all three.
Can have an open mind.
Open-minded
And some of the things they choose to do are wild. Like, so I don't know. It's like at the end of the day, it's more like just believing in what you believe in and being able to be there for people as yourself. Like now in the sense of like speaking with your friends, like standing up for the things you believe in and all of that. Like being able to just picking who you are, deciding who you are and showing up as yourself. Like it's one thing. I think that like overrides the whole I'm this, I'm that. I'm tagged as this. I belong to this sect. I can only talk about this kind of issues. I can't talk about this kind of issues and that kind of thing.
Wow. But I feel like people have a hard time generally. Like tulikuwa tu tunasema even calling yourself out is hard. Yeah. People have a hard time keeping friends who challenge them. And for me, I feel like if you're my friend and you don't challenge me, I probably, I mean, I'm like, what are we even doing, you know? And all the people who I can call my best friends, I'm privileged to say that they'd call me out on my bullshit. They'd be like, nah, sis, apple, umechoma. And I know that I trust them, you know, because I wouldn't want if a stranger came and told me these things, I'd be like, whatever, you know. But then
telling me as who?
Then with my friends, I hold them to such high esteem, such that like I appreciate it even when they call me out, or like when they tell me things, because I'm like, you're holding up a mirror for me to see the things that I can't see within myself, and I know that you're not doing it out of spite, because you know I trust you. Yeah, and I think it's important to have people who you can trust to check you.
And imagine, even as you go on, as you have like, even as you go on, your friends are holding you accountable for your wrongdoings and everything. Even calling out yourself will be much easier. It won't be as hard as it used to be, which is nice.
I agree. It's true. I love that. Love that a lot. So now may I have a question? Lakini naona nika nitaje expose me kuuliza hizo swali. Anyway, let me just ask it. How do you tell, or what are the nice things, like how do you do nice things for your significant other? Like wachana na kumnunulia
socks,
perfume na socks. Unajua zile vitu za everyday, like everyday things, like you might not even see each other maybe on that day, but you want to express your affection, your love for them. So like how do people approach that? Because sometimes I find myself thinking about it, I guess also because I don't have like a significant other, so it's just something I think about. But
to expose I feel like throughout the relationships I've had, I feel like it's very good to know like the love languages first of all, because from there you know what they want and what they need. You get? Because you know there are some who just like, even when you talk to them, you know, like that thing where like there's someone who's ever told me, I love how you tell me good morning and good night every day. Like the fact that you tell them good morning and have a good day, and then good night and have a good sleep. The fact that you even tell them that is very good for them. So I mean, I feel like it's different for everyone. I feel like it's very different for everyone, because like people experiencing love in different ways. But like I feel like for me, like mostly for me, I usually
sasa kujiexpose imeanza.
No, as in for any person I've dated, you know, probably quality time. Like for me, spending time with them, affirming them, doing some small cute things for them, like taking them out. But then, do you know, men, I just realized men really love being taken out.
They do.
They really love being taken out. I think it's
and
because they're used to taking,
like accepting it.
But they do. They get so overjoyed. It's so cute. Anyway, and then like just telling them like those affirming words, because wanapendanga kusikiza vitu. I feel like that's most of it.
I like what you said about it's good to know their love language, because sometimes umekazana hapo kumwambia good morning, good night.
Just hizo my story.
We need to sleep well, sweet dreams.
I love that haja.
Wewe ni wale wa kutu blackout tongea kesho.
Na wewe umengangana hapo, so it's good like to try and like figure out what works for them, what ticks their boxes for them, so that you can you
Oh my
use them
god, what ticks their
deliberately.
boxes?
Yeah, what ticks their boxes. And this is not something that like you find out instantaneously. I feel like you have to spend time with this person to also, you know, get to know them and know what they like, and also know what you like. What do you like to give also, and what are you capable of giving?
Yeah.
Wow, I asked this question because I realized this later on. Someone was asking me to do them a favor, but they weren't really asking me, and so I didn't pick up on it. I guess that's a like communication thing. I didn't understand their way of communicating, and it's because we didn't really know each other like that. And then like it got me thinking, and this also is tied to that other question we did in another video, and it was like, have you done an act of kindness for someone?
Yeah.
And I was like, will they think I'm just not like a kind person because I refused or I didn't realize that they needed this or that they were asking me to do this? Because I was spending time thinking about it on my end. I'm like, so should I do it for them? Is it the right time to do something for them? Are we there yet? Like, are we friends like that? So it's like, instead of thinking about how it would make them feel, I was thinking about like what it would mean for me or for whatever space it is we were in at that time. And that thing, I've been thinking about it for such a long time. That's why I just had to ask you guys that question.
I feel like anxiety really gets in the way of proper communication. Anxiety just kills communication because it's like you're not even able to ask this person, because sometimes it's so upfront. You just want to ask them, yo, you know, what do you like? How do you want this done? And you find it so hard because you're like, oh, what do they think? That you have the fear of being perceived.
Steph's favorite phrase. Steph Pascal is talking about the fear of being perceived.
You usually afraid to like ask a guy like what they like. Usually afraid to ask a guy like, let's say things like that.
No, I just don't want it to look like I don't even know why I have a fear of being perceived, but then I'm giving up that fear because I'm realizing either way you're going to be perceived.
That's what I always tell you. I'm like, people what do you mean that you're being perceived right now?
Like literally it'll still happen, you know. And I feel like a lot of people have that thing for, oh, you know, I want to look nonchalant, gang, no feelings, and it's so tiring. Now I'm just like, imagine, I really couldn't, I don't give enough facts, like.
For sure.
Nitakwambia vile tu
No
nasikia.
shame.
No, zero shame.
Zero
Like, I'll
shame.
just be like, I'll blurt out whatever I'm feeling, and but sometimes I'm also learning that it's better to show someone how you feel rather than tell them. And this also goes back to what you were saying, like, how do you show that? What was the question? How do you show
love or affection?
Affection, yeah. So it could be that me, I like being told stuff.
Same.
Yeah, I like being told, you know, you're beautiful and I love you.
And I had a hard time accepting it, but I do.
Yeah, I like being told. And then me, as I assume, because I like being told,
One
even this other person
Yeah.
likes being told. And then maybe this person isn't telling you, but then they're showing you. Like in you're like,
because they're not
telling you. And imagine this person like,
you're like, you don't
frustration.
care.
Yeah, you don't care. And
Okay.
like they're going out of their way, and like it makes them feel like they're not enough because you're like, why don't you tell me this?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I feel like communication is really important. Like never give up on communication because you're like, this isn't even working at chatting in Yamaze. Like never ever. Like try and struggle with not struggle. I don't like the word struggle, but
What, like put in time
and put in effort into communicating. First of all, communicating within yourself how you feel, because you know you can only meet people at your own point of like self-understanding. You can only understand people to the depth at which you've understood yourself. So
communication through chakra.
Yeah,
But all of them.
all of
but
them
like,
actually. Yeah, because like your throat chakra is also linked to you speaking your heart, speaking what your intuition is telling you, everything actually. So all I'm trying to say is like just learn how to communicate within yourself with kindness and communicate with others also with kindness.
Vala aliniambia tulikuwa tumelewa, tulikuwa deja vu. Ananiambia, "Unapenda mtu wako?" Tulikuwa deja vu. Tulikuwa sijui nilikuwa nakwambia nini hizo. And then Val was like, anyway, unapenda mtu
But
wako.
then Val is always saying that even that day at the Airbnb, she was just like, Misa,
Even at the Airbnb,
you remember, she
she
was just
said
like,
that.
Manze Steph, it's okay, just mpende too, it's fine. Me there, I'm like, Val is like, mpende too. I'm like, okay.
That's, yeah.
I can't even remember, to be honest, but okay.
Oh my god, this is different. We don't usually do our videos like this.
Yeah. We'll have more of this again and again and again. But actually, just tell us if you liked this session and if we should do it often. Yeah, so that we can give you what you want.
Yeah, communicate with us.
Communicate with us.
We want to show you love like through your language.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done. Bye guys. Like, share, subscribe, and thank you guys who've been subscribing. Like, we got so much love from East, West.
Meet West.
East,
It's meat.
Hey,
guys,
but then it's really a tongue
It's
twister.
the hardest thing for me to say. Yeah, but like, thank you so much. We appreciate it. I bet by now we're at 10K. So, and even past maybe when you're watching this. So thank you so much for following and giving us your comments, your feedback. We know the sound and the video quality hasn't always been the best, but please don't hate on the process. Soon enough, we're going to get there, and I will give you guys the best that we can.
Yeah.
Okay, so bye.
Bye.
Bye.